I'm out of it.
Have
you got any ghost stories to tell?
Nothing new, really. Just the same one as before.
Well, we can go over old ground anyway. But I think we should go live. Yeah.
Well, that reminds me. Watch the new Hellraiser. Pinhead's a chick.
Chick with the dick.
A chick with some pins. Good evening and welcome to another Fortean Words. It's spoopy time. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters.
Ooh, ghosts.
So here we are. We're gonna have a go at the whole issue of ghosts. I'm not quite
ghostly goings on.
I'm glad I muted myself for all that stuff. It would have been doxy otherwise.
Spoopy ghost.
I
don't know ghost.
It's not the first time we've discussed ghosts, is it? We've been more specific in previous episodes. Borley, Enfield, ghost photos we did one week, didn't we, Dom? Remember that one?
Ghost stories. We did ghost stories at some point, because I can't remember where I found the story, but that was that one, that geezer that picked the guy who was hitchhiking in 70s clothes to go and get some petrol. He had the petrol can and everything, and then he disappeared.
I was just thinking about that story the other day, and thought if I picked him up, just saying, like, you've probably missed your fancy dress party.
No, there was the motorbike guy in the tunnel.
Motorbike guy in the tunnel? What's that one, Dom?
Yeah, well, there was a guy who had a motorbike crash and died in a tunnel. And people have basically reported picking up a guy hitchhiking on the side where that guy died. He got in the car and they took him off and then disappeared and shit like that.
Those phantom hitchhiking chicks freak me out. You know the ones where the bloke drops them off at the cemetery and and then he looks back at the chair and she's fucking disappeared.
And then they find out that it was they died in an accident some years earlier from so. A quick happy birthday, though. A quick happy birthday to Janet Hodgson, the Enfield poltergeist girl, who's 57 today.
Let's hope his teeth got sorted in the intervening.
Yeah, she was a fucking pig, wasn't she? So anyway. Happy
we
birthday.
Let's not laugh. We'll upset that commenter again, won't we?
Yeah. Mr. Sensible.
Yeah.
I hope we do.
So what types of hauntings are there? I hear you all ask. So according to Wexford Paranormal, you get 4 types of hauntings. So you get residual hauntings, which are very much like video replays that are triggered by some external stimulus and are completely unaware of the observer. You get intelligent hauntings. With intelligent hauntings, the presence or spirit entity is aware of its surroundings and can communicate with the observer. I don't think many of them communicate. They kind of look at people, don't they, some of them?
Yeah.
And then you get shadow figures. Are generally observed in the viewer's peripheral vision and are often reported as moving with quick, jerky, fleeting movements. And then you get poltergeists, which is activity typically includes inanimate objects moving or being thrown around, noises such as knocking, which can often be severe.
Yeah.
Which one was that? You get like a jester with a beard and a pantomime.
Yeah.
What do you call a ghost in a shell suit?
Yale's mother from Coronation Street.
Have we had a ghost in a shell suit yet? Has anyone ever found one?
I know. We need to do an episode.
Well, Weatherspoons do vodka and Monster, don't they?
We're back, people.
This always happens, doesn't it?
It's a spooky spirit.
Because I used OBS, and it fucked up. And then I used StreamYard OBS, and that fucked up as well. So I'm gonna have to try and figure it out.
Before it went wrong, though, I was just saying, wasn't I, that transparent figure walking through a wall, that ghost. Which category does that one come in? Because that's the one.
That would be your stone tape theory, wouldn't it? Because they're walking through a wall, they don't realise the wall's there, do they?
Yeah, because that's the one we want.
What if it's a transgender walking the wall?
What if you build like your chicken shop on a haunted Indian burial ground, and then you have Poltergeist Night for the Chicken Dead happen? What sort of paranormal activity is that?
A Troma film, Poltergeist.
Yes, it's a musical, and there are scenes in it which to this day I refuse to watch. I just have to skip over them because they're really gruesome.
Yeah, food stuff. Isn't it?
And
it really is.
Scooby-Doo is a good source of ghost information as well. They have all sorts.
Here's a question for you: Why is Scooby-Doo afraid of ghosts when he knows there aren't any? Because it's never a ghost, is it? It's always Mr. Jenkins that owns the
he's not able to. He's a dog. I mean, he can. A pretty intelligent dog. He can talk.
Well,
he knows what's going on, but I think you expect too much out of him because he's a fucking dog.
Yeah, but also, aren't animals supposed to be able to sense ghosts?
Yeah.
So
they bark at nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what if it was just drug-induced paranoia?
Ghost. It's some old Jewy fella.
Because Shaggy's been feeding him edibles, so he doesn't know.
I was just going to say, imagine if Scooby and Shaggy were sober and they were just like, "Hey, that's just a man in a suit." It wouldn't be an interesting show then.
Well, the other three.
Is that the plot device? Is that the plot device? So how they don't know? Then they're on psychedelics and weed.
What device is they have drug-induced paranoia? Yes.
There's Fred and Daphne, and what's the
Well, those two, they disappear. And
what are they doing?
They're not doing each other, aren't they?
Fucking each other, aren't they?
Do I do Daphne?
Every time they're just like, what's going on here?
Velma pussy, I reckon.
I'd be doomed at Daphne, but I'd be thinking of Velma.
Yeah, but Velma's not into men, though, is she?
No, that's a lie. Haven't you seen Johnny Bravo as her boyfriend?
Short hair, glasses, dungarees. Do me a favour.
And her boyfriend is Johnny Bravo. This is canon law.
Is that in an episode of Johnny Bravo?
Boyfriend is KD Lang.
Why
is there no more Johnny Bravo?
Well, I don't know, because it was like an alright show.
Right, can we put this train back on the wheels and back on the track?
Well, we're talking.
Yeah, anyway, there's no more Johnny Bravo. He must be a ghost.
Yeah.
And what else is there about ghosts?
Has he ever been interviewed by Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Space Ghost.
I think probably he has.
So confirm he is from talking to him from beyond the grave.
Spoopy.
The thing is, I think as well, if the people in the chat can stop fucking about, if someone has had a ghost experience, proper one, then just tell us in the chat and maybe we can review that as well.
Oh shit, have you seen the Emu Wars back? Like a Stephen King movie, feral chickens return to plague New Zealand village. Emu War 2. Let's hope they can win this one.
I've seen a smelly boglin, which is a creature of the night.
Boglins? Fuck me.
There's one that goes by the name of King Cobra JFS.
Also, did you know Angry Minion with no anus not related to humans after all, said scientists?
Busy shit then.
What was it?
I don't know. It's
really fat.
In the headlines.
Gotta find out.
I once saw Rod Hull attach
my seat
dog.
now.
He did, didn't he? On the word, wasn't it?
Oh, do you remember the word when Oliver Stone.
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed was stoned.
Oliver Reed, no, not Oliver Stone. Oliver Cromwell. That's it. Remember, he was on the word.
Do you remember Ollie Reed on After Dark when he was like baiting that feminist and he said, "I once shot a woman, you know." James May had a ghost encounter in that video. Didn't we show this the other week, Hobbit, the James May video? Oh no, Hobbit's gone. He's been.
Well, you must remember it. But let's show it again, just in case you didn't, because let's have a look and see what we think. Is it a ghost? Is it not? What is it?
I'm afraid of no ghost. Do.
What do you think? Do you think it's James May or James May not?
Captain Slow, wasn't it?
Captain Slow. Right, hold on a sec. Got to get this up, and I've got to. Where is?
Yeah, that looks.
Talk about ghosts here while I'm doing this.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we've gone through the 4 different ghosts. Not really into poltergeists. Don't do a lot for me. Shadow people.
On the Ghostbusters little device thing, the 4th ghost goes up to the top.
On every location at a verbal home, there's someone like you who reunited the family to make up for lost time.
You want to go full screen there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then each different ghost goes up the meter.
Right there, and let's have a look at this ghost. We can see it anyway. Skip ad. Or whatever.
Oh, I thought that was a ghost.
Look like children in their swimming costumes, and here we go.
It's like, look at them in their diversity.
There we go. That's better. Sorted.
So this is the ghost thing.
You can see the ghost. There we go.
We go back to the ad.
Oh, there we go. That looks just someone walking there, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
where?
In the background, look over there. That yellow, that pile of leaves. Go back because Dom didn't see it.
I think what they've done is they've taken him out post production.
I think it could be like a puff of dandelion seeds, or a bunch of mist, or shit reflecting off the camera, basically.
Rather than another go. No, that's not far enough back, is it? I think that's what the problem is. Back there.
Hang on, we got a story in the chat.
I think they've taken someone out, but I think they've taken someone out post production. I think that's what they've done.
Okay. So John Michael Kelly says, I was walking my dog after a 4-day session, no sleep, and I was going around the lakes, and a ghost alien that looked like a drone, the size of a large sofa, approached me and flashed lights in my face, but didn't want to come away from the water, so I shouted at it, but then continued to walk around the lake, and he got his friends to come over and inspect me, but they still didn't come above land. I walked all the way back to my car, then drove back up the lane towards my house, and I saw a massive dragon-shaped ghost flying across the field, and it chased me but didn't catch me, but got very close. So yeah, interesting. That's better than Hobbit's ghost sighting, wasn't it? Yeah. So, which is his bedroom was a bit cold one night. He had the window open in January, I think.
Right, so we're going to talk about some ghosts.
Present that.
What were you doing?
It was a nondescript sense of foreboding. Doesn't mean it was any less valid.
What did the ghost look like? Was it like in a sort of a white thing with a sheet over its head, or what did it have, Victorian clothing on? Did it have a shell suit on?
Yeah.
Was it a dinosaur with the shell suit? Also, there, a friend in the chat has an entire ghost story.
Oh, did you know? Did you know there's a ghost bus in Ladbroke Grove? So
no, but I know they do exist.
I was turning the corner and saw a bus. I don't know whether the driver was wearing a shell suit, and saw a bus tearing towards me. The motorist testified before the police. The lights at top and bottom deck and the headlights were full on, but I could see no sign of crew or passengers. I yanked my steering wheel hard over and mounted the pavement, scraping the roadside wall. The bus just vanished. The motorist who made his report, I think we know what's happened here, and I don't think there was a ghost bus involved, was there? The motorist who made this report to the local authorities in North Kensington, London in the mid-1930s may have been drunk, hallucinating or dreaming at the wheel when he had the accident, but if he was, so were hundreds of other motorists who complained of being forced off the road by a phantom bus careening round the corner of St Mark's Road into Cambridge Gardens near the Ladbroke Grove Underground Station. After one fatal accident, a local coroner took evidence of the apparition and discovered that dozens of local residents claimed to have seen the spectral double-decker. In fact, there have been very, very many ordinary accidents, several of them fatal at the notorious junction. Eventually, the local council straightened the road there and the accident rate was greatly reduced. Thereafter, there were no more reports of the ghostly red bus.
So was there pink goo? Was there a painting of a guy who looked older, like Vesemir from The Witcher 3?
You can have ghost vehicles, though, because at Borley there's a ghost coach, isn't there? Coaching horses, which drives down the lane. Plus, you have ghost ships as well, which...
How does that work? Does that mean vehicles and shit have souls?
Yeah, must do. Or is that, are they not the Return of the Dead? They're just images trapped in time.
Yeah, but or can you, like, when you die, you can, like, I'm having that when I'm going.
Yeah.
You come back as a ghost and you've got your bottle of shampoo because you made a really bad choice.
I saw this one. I saw this one on a TV program the other day. In December 1972, an Eastern Airlines TriStar jetliner Flight 401 crashed into a Florida swamp. 101 people died in the crash, including the pilot Bob Loft and the flight engineer Don Repo. On more than 20 occasions thereafter, crew members of other Eastern TriStars, especially those that had been fitted with parts salvaged from the wreck of Flight 401, saw entirely lifelike apparitions of Loft and Repo. In some cases, the apparitions were identified by people who had known the two men, and in some cases by reference to photographs. I saw this on a program the other day. They actually recalled every single part from this plane, and it's now in storage again, because basically what it was the parts they used for salvage, they put them on other planes, and the airline actually recalled every single last part of it, and it's in a lockup, and people don't like going down that end because it's really cold and weird down there.
Hang on a minute, you mean they were used for other planes and then recalled back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the parts were haunted, causing problems.
There's like
for other
weird shit going on. So there must be something to it, because the airline recalled all of the parts.
And there were sightings of the pilots on other planes that the parts had gone to, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And shit like that. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, didn't know they recalled the parts, so that's a bit stupid, isn't it?
Jojo Gizmo says, I went downstairs one morning, there was yogurt splattered all over the kitchen walls. I think it was paranormal Activia.
I gotcha. But times are hard at the moment, so this guy said, his guy's wife said, all right then, to help out, I'll go on the game. So she went on the game one night, and she came back the next day, and her husband said, oh, how much did you get then? And she said, £550 and 50 pence. And he goes, that's not... Hang on, I haven't finished yet. And she said, oh, that's not bad.
All of them.
That's not bad. Who gave you the 50 pence? And she said, all of them.
Alaska.
Yeah. Anyway, go on with the next.
So Sergeant Oikman says he's giving a big X to doubt. He says you'll be able to use. Doubt you'd be able to use parts from a crashed plane. Yeah, I think they do. If the part was old, if the plane was old enough and there's any spare part.
Yeah. If those parts were expensive to replace, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
They do it with people, don't they? Someone dies, they use their organs for other shit.
Yeah. Because when they do the air crash investigation, they literally get every single part of the plane, put it all together, and figure out what went wrong. So they would have all of these salvage parts.
I think there's a parts from a crashplane.com.
And who did the ice bucket challenge? What's happened to that these days?
Here you go. The Dodson.com aircraft parts. You can buy salvage parts. Buy some then. Yeah. Let's buy some and see if they're haunted. Air Salvage, Air Salvage International, used aircraft parts. So there you
go. And also in the chat, I heard that Princess Diana donated her organs to be used in crash test dummies. So yeah.
black box is actually coloured yellow, so it's easier to find.
Why don't they make whatever they make the black box out of? Why don't they make the plane out of that? Because the black box always survives, doesn't it?
Oh shit, is that story? Resurrection Mary, the one I was going to tell you. For a number of years, motorists driving along Archer Avenue in Chicago's South Side have reported giving ride to a beautiful young hitchhiker, blonde, wearing a white gown that seems to date from the 20s or 30s. Drivers are said to be mostly single males, and the girl often jumps into their cars uninvited, saying she needs a ride home. Home turns out to be the Resurrection Cemetery at 7,200 South Archer Avenue, and when the car draws level with it, the hitchhiker gets out, sometimes opening the car door, sometimes passing right through it, walks up to the closed wrought iron gates and passes through them, disappearing into thin air once inside the cemetery. Resurrection Mary, as the spectre has been named, is said to be the ghost of a young Polish girl who was killed in an auto accident while being driven home from a dance at the O. Henry Ballroom, now named the Willowbrook Ballroom, on Archer Avenue in 1931, and buried in her party dress and dancing shoes in Resurrection Cemetery. One night in December 1977, a motorist noticed a young woman dressed in white standing inside the cemetery gates. She was looking out and holding on to the bars of the gates. Thinking the girl had been inadvertently locked inside the cemetery, the motorist called the police. By the time the patrol car appeared, the girl had vanished. The officer beamed his searchlight in the cemetery but saw nothing. He and the motorist did notice, though, that two of the wrought iron bars in the gate were bent apart, and the point where they were bent, where the marks seemingly etched into the iron, was two small hands.
Strange. And who were these witnesses? Is it just word of mouth, or did... Yeah. He said she fell down the stairs, didn't they?
Yeah. Got another hitchhiker closer to home. So one evening in October 1979, Roy Fulton, a carpet fitter, was driving back home from a darts match in Leighton Buzzard base. Like they used to be the days when blokes used to play darts, weren't they?
Oh, I used to. Yeah. I actually, though, we met in the darts. We were watching the darts, and you came across me, didn't we, on that darts channel that time?
Oh yeah, when we were watching. Yeah.
And more recently, I was on one of the channel, and they had some women players, and one of them had this short blonde hair, middle-aged, sour face, and I said, "Oh, it's Karen coming on to play," and they kicked me out. Kicked me out of the room. Yeah, what I said was, "Oh, look, it's Karen coming on," because she had the Karen look. Yeah, I couldn't go back in the chat.
So, as he neared the village of Stanbridge, he stopped to pick up a young hitchhiker, a man of pale complexion with short curly hair, dark trousers, and a white shirt, and an old-fashioned round collar. When, oh shit, this is the one. This is the one hub. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was the one. But
is he in a transit van?
When Fulton asked him where he was going, the young man pointed down the road. Fulton thought his passenger might be a deaf mute and drove on in silence. After driving a mile or two, though, at a steady 45 mile an hour, he thought a cigarette might help break the ice, and turned to offer one to his companion. The passenger's seat was empty. The young man had silently vanished from a moving van whose door had never opened. Fulton drove straight to his local pub and ordered a large scotch to steady his nerves, and told his story. The landlord of the pub and the Dunstable police inspector both said later they believed Fulton had experienced something strange. Perhaps his story was true.
I remember seeing that, actually. That's good. All right, then.
I think we're live. Are we live? Testing. Are we live?
So, just to repeat, Jojo Gizmo, he says, when I told the priest I need an exorcist to stop the yogurt ghost, he says, have you been dabbling in the Yakult?
Yeah.
That's it. But it's on mute anyway, so don't worry about it.
Back, good, okay. Yeah. So that's peculiar how you can get these hitchhiker ghosts. I think it is more
close together. That's taking the absolute piss out of it.
It is more urban myth, though, is it not? Than
yeah, it does sound like it could be an urban myth, doesn't it?
Urban myth, like the guy having a wank with his headphones on, like that one. Urban myth,
and his mum put the tea down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an urban myth.
So what would you say the Phantom Hitchhiker then? Is she an intelligent or is she a other sort?
Well, it's the apparition. Well, no, I suppose if he picks her up, then it would be the rent-a-ghost type ghost, which isn't see-through, is it? Comes across as a real person.
Yeah. Well,
And also,
people say, "Why do you only see ghosts at night?" Well, maybe you do see ghosts during the day, but you don't know they're ghosts.
yeah, and it's not very good though, is it? If they just look like a real person, and I want to see them fly and shit like that. So,
Yeah, or walking,
but yeah, that was in Rent-A-Ghost. They were just
like the Romans do,
walking through a wall. That's
but
the bit I like.
I don't trust that guy in Rent-A-Ghost, but I want to see the guys. Yeah, I want to see the guys in the pantomime horse. Yeah, I mean, Operation U Tree would have got them all.
It was the 70s, wasn't it? So
do you remember Mr. Meeker when he wished for 40 winks and he winked 40 times and he was on the train and he got slapped and thrown off?
But no, it was the 70s, so it was wasn't like it wasn't like today. If they made it today, it'd be more diverse, wouldn't it? It'd be Bent-A-Ghost.
Bent-A-Ghost.
Anyway,
have we talked much about ghosts yet?
Yeah, we covered quite a lot of ground.
How about
let's have the haunting.
Henry Martindale goes in search of York's oldest ghosts in the Treasure's House cellar in 2003. The man who was at the centre of one of the world's most well-known ghost sightings has died. Henry Martindale's account of witnessing a Roman legion apparently marching through the walls of the cellar of York's Treasurer's House has become one of the city's most well-known ghost tales. Mr. Martindale was 18 when he saw the ghostly sight in 1953 while working as an apprentice, helping to install heating in the cellar of the historic property next to York Minster. He kept largely quiet about his sightings for fear of ridicule until the 1970s when he was interviewed by a group of academics for television. So if he was quiet and nobody knew about it, how did these academics know to ask him to come on a television show?
Yeah, but he was obviously gobbing off to someone, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Martindale accounted how when working in the cellar, he reportedly heard the sound of a horn coming from the walls, which continued to get louder. He continued his work until a large cart horse reportedly came through the wall. While he crouched, terrified in the corner, he watched a group of Roman soldiers appear to march dejectedly through the wall and across the room. He said he could only see to their knees. It was only later he confirmed that via the is it Decumana Roman that the Via Decumana Roman road ran about 15 inches underneath the treasurer's house. That's accounting for why they appeared at only knee level. His description
either that or they were getting ready to fillet him.
His descriptions
of what Romans were like
of green tunics was also later to be found historically accurate, as later evidence was uncovered to suggest Roman troops stationed there had used the local dye on their clothes when supplies from the Roman Empire in Europe dried up. Many have speculated whether it was the ghost of the 9th Roman Legion who went missing without trace. The story has captured the imagination of many people and is cited as brought countless visitors from around the world to the Treasurer's House, eager to visit the famous cellar of the National Trust property. But Mr. Martindale remained modest and low-key about his sighting and maintained he wasn't sure if he believed in ghosts, saying he only believed what I saw. He went on to work as a policeman in York for 30 years. He died peacefully at York Hospital, aged 79, after a long illness. His funeral will take place on Wednesday at St Giles Church in Copmanthorpe. Probably don't go along this Wednesday because I think it was a while ago.
Well,
October the 27th, 2014.
If he didn't believe in ghosts, then what the fuck did he think it was then?
Yeah, dickhead.
There's a difference between witness accounts and brain function.
Yeah.
And he was a pig as well, so 30 years. Anchor. Yeah, they're two friends.
Yeah. Don't trust the police, kids.
Yeah. What about the Ghost Club? Should we look at the Ghost Club?
Yeah, we can talk a bit about the Ghost Club. Go on then. You can take it away in.
I'll kick off then, all right then. So the Ghost Club is a paranormal investigation and research organisation founded in London in 1862. It's believed to be the oldest such organisation in the world, though its history has not been continuous. The club still investigates many ghosts and hauntings, so it's still going today if you want to join.
Any relation to the Psychical Society?
Probably similar, isn't
They
it?
share a few members, don't they? What's his
Yeah.
name? Investigated probably.
One which always struck me as a bit odd, and I'm not sure if it counts as a ghost story or not, is you remember that one we did about the voices from the future and the past that came on the computer?
Oh,
And
the haunted
Yeah.
BBC Micro. Well, that's how they describe it. don't they?
Well, the two investigators from the Psychical Society, and then when what's his name wanted to get more information from them, the Psychical Society denied all evidence that they were ever members. Were they ghosts?
Mm.
Men in Black.
Brainwashed, maybe. Ghosts and Psychic Phenomena. Launched officially in London in 1862, it counted Charles Dickens among its members. One of the club's earliest investigations was that of the Davenport brothers and their spirit cabinet hoax. Because everyone was sort of, around that time, everyone was dicking about with spiritualism, wasn't it? And making up different ways to contact the dead. That's where the Ouija board comes from and various other shit like that. The club challenged the Davenports' claim of contacting the dead, so they doubted the Davenports. The group continued to undertake practical investigations of spiritualist phenomena, a topic then in vogue, meeting to discuss ghostly subjects. And the Ghost Club dissolved in the 1870s following the death of Dickens. So, yeah.
What the?
Acknowledging its origins. In 1882, the Society for Psychical Research, they were Hobbit, what you mentioned, with whom there was an initial overlap, was founded at a similar time. So two different bodies doing a similar thing. Well, the SPR
they've got a gallery. They've got a gallery. I might show some pictures and we'll discuss them.
Yeah, see what they are. Well, the SPR was a body devoted to scientific study. The Ghost Club remained selective, secretive organisation of convinced believers for whom psychic phenomena were an established fact. So
we have covered the Psychical Society. Well, we briefly touched upon their existence with the episode about dreams. So,
okay, yeah. Membership was small, 82 members over 54 years. Women were not allowed, but during this period, some of the most original and controversial minds in psychic research. These included Sir William Crookes, Sir Oliver Lodge, Nandor Fodor, who we discussed before we came on here, and Sir Arthur Conan. Arthur Conan Doyle.
Is that where Ryan, what's his face, got his got the inspiration for his email? Fodor's More Whores.
Could be, couldn't it? Also, that Morris bloke who was feeling up the Enfield girl, he was in the Psychical Research Society, wasn't he? That dirty bastard. Yeah. So all right then. Yeah, Conan Doyle was sort of, he got him, even though he was a doctor and very scientific, he also was got involved in all this stuff as well and became a believer of contacting the dead. So and was sort of ridiculed for it. And also he would also he thought what Houdini was doing was real as well. He didn't think it was a trick, even though Houdini did tell Conan Doyle, no, it's a trick, but I can't show you how it's done.
What if the whole point of that magic is to try and convince people there's no such thing as magic? Because the more people that believe in magic, the less power you have. You want to keep the secrets all to yourself.
Yeah. Anyway. 20th century has moved from the seance room investigation to laboratory-based research, meant the Ghost Club fell out of touch with contemporary psychic research, which was good in a way because it did get out of hand around that time. Harry Price, here we go, famous for his investigation into Borley Rectory, joined as a member in 1927, as did psychologist Nandor Fodor, who represented the change in approach to psychical research taking place, with attendance falling. The club closed in 1936 after 485 meetings. The Ghost Club records were deposited in the British Museum under the proviso that they would remain closed until 1962 out of respect for confidentiality. So, yeah. So, within 18 months, Price relaunched the Ghost Club as a society, being an event where psychic researchers and mediums delivered after-dinner talks and probably got pissed up as well. Price decided to admit women to the club. Yeah, wanted to get his end away, didn't he? And also specifying that it was not a spiritualist church or association, but a group of skeptics that gathered to discuss paranormal activities. Members in this period included CEM Joad, who the fuck's that? Julian Huxley, him. Almiron Blackwood, Albert Stilwell, and Lord Amwell. You're supposed to know who they are. I've never heard of them. Following Price's death in 1948, the club was again relaunched by members of the committee, Philip Paul and Peter Underwood. I've got a book by Peter Underwood, actually, on Borley. It's quite good. From 1962, Underwood served as president. Many accounts of the club are found in his books. So, yeah. Tom Perriott joined the club in 1967 and served as chairman from 71 to 93. In 93, the club underwent a period of initial disruption, during which Underwood left to become life president of another society, Traitor, and revived the wanker, called, he revived it called the Ghost Club Society. So it's pretty inventive. In recent history, Perriott resigned. Barrister Alan Mawdrey was elected as his successor. Mawdrey has written a number of ghost books, included Haunted Brighton, and also regularly writes for the Fortean Times. 2005.
You get the willies if you go to Brighton, weren't you?
Exactly, yeah. I dread to think what those ghosts get up to. So, you have ectoplasm being produced on those meetings. In 2005, he was succeeded by Kathy Gearing, the club's first female chairperson. That's political correctness gone mad, isn't it? Gearing announced that her resignation in the summer of 2009. Alan Moore's current again took over as chairman for the second time. The club continues to meet monthly in a pub in central London. Several investigations are performed in England every year. In recent times, investigators have also organised trips to Scotland by the club's Scottish Area Investigation Coordinator. So there you go.
Oh.
That's the Ghost Club. They don't really say much. Oh, notable members: Peter Cushing, he was in it. Dennis Wheatley.
Of the Devil Rides.
Charles Babbage. Charles Dickens, Charles Babbage, who invented some computer. Conan Doyle. Who else? Notable was in it.
Sassoon, weren't he the one that did People's Hair?
Dennis Wheatley.
Lorraine Sassoon. He's got a woman's middle name.
Colin Wilson. Yeah, so that's good.
Colin Wilson, not the psychologist that does the murder programs. The other one.
The other one. So
I've heard of Jeff Holder as well. I think I've heard of him.
Now, there's not much information in there though about actual finding ghosts, and surely that's the point of it, isn't it? But anyway.
Well, it'd be to find them to work out whether they're real or not, or what they are.
Or just have a piss up, have a piss up, isn't it? So
I don't know. I think ghosts and UFOs are a similar sort of thing, because there's that many sightings that. If 99.99% is bullshit, there's still a lot left, isn't there? That's something.
And UFOs are the modern day ghosts, if you look at it, because we didn't see the ghosts, the contemporary ghosts that we see today, and really until after Charles Dickens. Yeah, no ghosts in the you can see through human form walking around with chains and stuff. Didn't really see that until Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, and that was really where the sort of that idea of ghosts came into the mainstream. Prior to that, it was more, fairies, that kind of shit. It wasn't really that kind of ghost. It was, demons, what have you. And again, up until, when was it? What's his name? H.G. Wells wrote War of the Worlds. After that, people started to see UFOs, wasn't it? That was when UFOs kind of took over the more modern ghost, if you like, the sort of thing that people see. Because less people believed in ghosts as well. People would believe in ghosts in the Victorian times as well. So
clever to believe in ghosts now, aren't they?
Yeah, but then But then around about the 1930s, people sort of thinking, well, that's a bit fucking
Well, that was a massive
stupid, isn't it?
during the Victorian era, weren't there? All the psychics
Yeah.
and stuff, weren't they?
Well, the thing is, and also there was still a lot of war going on, and so obviously everyone had a dead relative, and a lot of people getting killed, and that Conan Doyle, one of the reasons Conan Doyle took it seriously was because
His
I
son
think he
died
had
in the war,
one. His son died and his brother, I think, plus also his wife died young of polio or one of those diseases. So yeah, a lot of grief going around. Yeah. Well, he was lucky with his money, wasn't he? Made a bit of cash out of his books, but yeah. So and basically psychics would just prey on these people. Give me some money, and I'll contact your dead husband who got killed in the war. That kind of shit. So there was that. Still goes on today, though, I suppose, doesn't it? With psychic readings, people turn up and see these people saying, "Oh, I'm getting someone. Has someone got a husband whose name begins with S? This hall full of 100 people, like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting someone called with a surname. They're a Smith.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh,
dun,
that's just
dun,
started a
dun.
new fucking stream. What has it started a new stream for, you dumb...
Dun, 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 dun.
The Vader March.
Well, I thought it was suitably spooky.
Apologies, viewers, about that. If we're back online, yeah, are we back? I think so. I can.
We should
hopefully.
be back. We should be back.
Yeah, we are. We're back on.
We're back.
Good.
Are the ghosts
Mrs. turned the router off this time. I'm having a fucking great night tonight.
She said it was too spooky to continue. Are the
Well,
ghosts
I think-
in the room with us now?
I might change the thing for too spooky.
Yeah,
Too spooky
you're
for
breaking
you.
up, Hemi.
Hold on,
I think you're breaking up, Hemi. You're not. Sorry about this at home.
Is that better? Is that
don't
better?
mess around.
Are we all back?
Yeah, that's
Are we
better.
all back? Don't mess around with
I
ghosts.
don't know. Are we back?
I think so.
Right,
Too
so where
spooky
were
for
we?
ghosts.
I don't know. Where were we about 5 minutes ago? The Ghost Society.
Well,
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we covered the. Did we go through the famous members of the Ghost Society, or did we
I think
just
we were
maybe
part of
do that? Just to.
yeah.
So basically, we're just just notable members. You're breaking up a bit, Hemi. I think. Can you hear him okay, Hobbit, or is it my equipment?
hear him. Just carry on as if it was normal.
Yeah.
All right,
this ain't going to get any better tonight.
Yeah, so notable members, Conan Doyle, of course, and then we had
I think we were
Dennis
talking
Wheatley
about Conan Doyle and his
of the
kid.
Deaf,
Conan Doyle was... I think that's where we were.
Peter
weren't we,
Cushing.
Conan Doyle?
and
Not to be
That's about it, really.
confused with the actor Peter Cushing.
No,
Oh,
Wait,
no,
also-
wasn't he in Star Wars?
he was,
Oh, it's the
He was-
same Peter Cushing. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and also they
So
brought him
to
back
be
to
confused with Peter Cushing.
through CGI, didn't they, in the latter films?
I really
more
didn't
recent
like
years.
that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, but yeah, it's,
I'll tell you what.
no, it was good to see.
Weren't as nerviness. Do you remember Tron, where they tried to date, where it was like the very early
yeah.
Tron 2, when it was the very
Yeah,
early
I mean, I
stages
like the
of
film
agency.
because the music in it's excellent, but the scenes with Jeff Bridges in it are just like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, so anyway, Hobbit, you said you and your cousin saw a ghost, but you didn't believe him. Tell us of this.
Well, that's right. I mean, this is like, for example, I know some audience members may sound incredulous, like, wow, Hobbit was party to a paranoid encounter, but there's been a number of times this has happened. One example was I was with my cousin. This would have been, about 20 years ago? No, a bit more than 20 years, actually. Yeah, it would have been close to 30 years ago now. And getting off to sleep, the shutters are open, because this is back in the south of France, so you had shutters on the windows. And he says, "Did you see that?" And I said, "What?" He says, "Oh, God, it's a ghost." And he was like, shit scared. He went under the covers. I mean, I just for whatever reason I sort of sat up and I was giving a good close look into the distance,
Mm.
and I said, I can't see anything there, and I'm not discounting you didn't see it or not, but I sort of sat there for about like half an hour saying, look, I'm just going to keep sat here, and if I see anything, I'll tell you. And then eventually he went to sleep, so I thought, right, that's it, my job's done. And then I went back and I thought nothing of it until tonight when we're talking about ghosts. And the other example of when something
Wait there though.
Hmm?
What did he see though? What did he say he saw?
Well, the word he used is j'avais vu un fantôme, so they don't have as many words for ghosts in French as we do, but a phantom.
Right. But still, what did the phantom look like? Was it like what was the?
I didn't even ask him. I just thought,
really? Was it a Roman soldier? Was it someone in
Was it a
I
man in a
didn't
chauffeur?
ask. He didn't volunteer the information. So all I did was I just sort of sat up and was like, right, I'm going to have a look for myself. And if I see anything moving out there, then I'll know to.
He was convinced from that. Was it from a bit of a distance then? Was it, Hobbit, or just outside the window?
It couldn't have been more than 10 meters away because we had a walled garden, and you can't see the road beyond it. Not from where we were.
Yeah, it
laying.
seems weird that he was so convinced straight away that it was a ghost. I wonder what look it had for him to be so convinced it was a ghost straight away.
You know what? Let me send a message to him now and see if he remembers the incident. So, hello, cousin. Do you remember the phantom you saw in the place we grew up when we grew up?
See if you get a reply to the message.
Do you want a really spooky story? Do you want to know about the frozen fowl of Pond Square?
Well, in the
a ghost.
Small
Could you send a message to Rudy as well to tell him to stop messing around?
I don't know a Rudy.
Messing around.
Yeah.
Message to Rudy. But anyway, the other paranormal thing is it is kind of ghostly because I was joking with this guy. Let's not use his real name. So Neil.
Jean-Pierre. Jean-Pierre was
he a hippie? Was he a hippie in the Young Ones?
Yeah, he is actually. We're going to Stonehenge, and he says, "Oh man, it's looking really spooky here." And there's all this mist that was gathering around. Was it Salisbury Plain? And I said, "Well, of course it is. It's the ghosts have come. They've come back from the dead. They've come to hang out with the living. It's it's summer solstice. It's a momentous occasion." And so at the time, I had both a broken toe and a broken finger, and limped up to the stones. I touched it, and I felt this great warmth go through my body, and all the pains went away.
You're not allowed
anymore, can you? Because the hippies fucking ruined it.
You haven't been able to do that for ages. So
well, yeah, this would have been in 2010.
Even then, he weren't allowed to do it.
No, it was 2011 actually. It's normally closed off, but for summer solstice and winter it was open until ne'er-do-wells decided to shove Coke cans in between the cracks, and they're like, "Yeah, there's too much vandalism. We're going to shut it down."
Maybe just chip a bit off. Chip a bit off for a memento.
No,
chip
don't
a bit
do
off
that.
to make you lazy. Into bugs.
Neil, when he touched the stone, he recoiled as if he had an electric shock, and he's a sensitive guy, and he's seen ghosts before. And so I get a feeling that whatever was it for my sort of attenuated senses, I noticed it a little bit, and it was just enough to, like, for whatever reason, heal my ailments and my injuries. And my friend remembers it at the time because he had the Fiat Shipmobile, as we called it. It was a Fiat 500 where the third gear didn't work, and the car door bit my finger. And it really hurt, because if you ever had your finger slammed into a car door before, it's not nice.
Nasty.
But again, it just, it healed me, and in his case, he records it. He just he'd been zapped.
Well, I used to get stoned with friends over this castle we used to live nearby at the time.
You participated in a legal
I don't know. I can't because of the doctor's orders. But we used to go and get stoned over this. Go over the castle and get stoned, and they was haunted by the Grey Lady, and there was a door in the castle, and if you knocked it 5 times, the Grey Lady would appear. Now, we did try this, but the Grey Lady didn't appear, so we just carried on smoking spliffs and got bored and then just went home. So that's the nearest I've got.
I've got nothing.
Oh, so I just got a response from my cousin. He says, I told you about it, and then you hid under the covers. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right, I did.
Has Rudy got back to you, or is he still messing about?
I don't have any. I'm sorry. I'm too autistic to follow along with this line of questioning.
Message to you, Rudy.
Okay.
You said I'm going to send a message.
Anyway,
a message to you, Rudy.
I know that other song about message in a bowl. I think that's
different. That's a different.
You're messing around. Don't you know that one, Hobbit?
Yeah, I do, but I didn't like it very much.
To Rudy. A message.
And free Nelson Mandela as well.
What about the one like every night me go to sleep, me have a wet dream, lie down, girl, push up, lie down. Yeah, that was a good one.
Wet Dream by Max Romeo.
Well, he had to go on the BBC and say,
"What's the one with Thingy's prison number? Something was my number."
He had to go on the BBC and say, no, it wasn't a song about masturbation. It was about when he was living in Jamaica, he had a leaky tin roof. So every night when it rains on it, he'd have a wet dream because, the rain falls on his head. It was like...
So
the BBC asked people to do very silly things.
When he says, lie down, girl, let me push it up. Where does that fit into this leaky roof?
Well, it's like with the top of the pops when they had passed the Dutch or the left-hand side, and they were just saying, oh, it's a song about a communal eating arrangements. Yeah.
Yes.
God, did you know Nelson Mandela's prison number was 46664? Spoopy.
That's the Mandela effect, isn't it?
Do you remember when the BBC made Janet Ellis apologise for being pregnant before marriage and leave Blue Peter? Do you remember that? She was pregnant with Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Do you remember they sacked Richard Bacon from sniffing in on the Blue Peter toilets?
Yeah.
It's like these days, I don't know.
But then, did you see the episode where the guy went up Nelson's column on a ladder?
Apparently, Dutchie is a cooking pot. A cutchie is a spliff. They changed the lyrics for the musical youth version.
I thought the original version was Dutchie, and Dutchie meant a spliff.
Nope.
But they just reinvented the meaning of Dutchie in the musical youth version.
Sergeant Oinkminson, who I don't think is Goblinson, has said Cutchy is a spliff, apparently.
What about Ease a Good?
Ease a Good? Ebenezer.
Oh, yeah, that's it. It's just about a Dickensian character who, spreads goodwill and joy.
Yeah, ever so good.
Yeah. What about got any Veras? Lovely.
Yeah. Anybody got any?
Yeah, what's suspicious about that, Ian? Stop looking into meaning where there is none.
Yeah.
What about the Magic Roundabout when they were taking sugar lumps and having acid trips, and the rabbit on there was clearly stoned all the time?
And there was the spring who was very animated.
Okay, those could be other things, but the rabbit though was just that was just the person who was stoned. That's all it was. The sugar cubes. Yeah, you could say that's sort of maybe just like sugar cubes. It's not necessarily LSD.
But maybe he was just a laid-back rabbit who, knew how to not take things too seriously and was...
There's only one way that you get laid back like that.
He was just dead chill. That's
You don't get laid back like that normally, do you?
I'm not Godwinson. I'm not into Fatsburg rape fetishists.
Magic Roundabout English scripts were all ad-libbed by Eric Thompson.
The latter ones were done by Nigel Planer. And
Yeah, that's right. I did notice that. It was like, yeah, this sounds familiar, this voice.
And they say that Captain Pugwash characters had dirty names. But that wasn't actually true. That wasn't actually true. They didn't. That was an urban myth.
Do you remember when kids' TV shows had really good themes?
I'm quite fond of the clangers, but having watched it, I still can't figure out the soup dragon saying rude words. It doesn't sound like it to me.
Yeah. Apparently, there was one of the shipmates on Captain Pugwash was called Master Bates.
Master Bates is the ship's cabin boy. Yeah.
But Roger was Roger the cabin boy. It was Roger the cabin boy.
Master Bates was the.
No, Master Bates was. Well, none of them were real though. It was all made up. It didn't actually happen. And if you watch the program, those names are nowhere to be seen. It was just something someone made up, and people said, "Yeah, that's right. I remember that." Because obviously, you're not going to get away with that anyway, are you? Maybe you can slip things in like "Ease a Good" in a song, but you can't have
apparently
a children's cartoon.
Seaman Staines was another one, wasn't it?
No, yeah, but Seaman Staines, but that didn't exist either. None of it's true.
We made it all up. It's not real.
It was the Mandela effect.
It's frequently claimed some of the characters in the children's show Captain Pugwash suggest a name: Master Bates, Seaman Staines, Roger the Cabin Boy.
Where are you reading this? Where are you getting this from?
This is from stassen.org.
No, look it up properly. Hang on then. Wait, let me have a look.
The crew of the Black Pig were Captain Pugwash, Master Mate,
exactly.
Pirate Barnabas, Pirate Willie, and Tom the Cabin Boy.
That's the 5446 was my number by Toots and the Maytals. Do you not know that one, Ian?
So what's rude about that?
Nothing.
Tom the Cabin Boy, not Roger the Cabin Boy.
That was the trying to. That's the song I was trying to think of.
Who was it by?
Cracking tune, that is.
Yeah, there was a time when it was like it was. I liked Captain Pugwash.
I thought it was shit, but there was nothing else on, so you had to watch it. It didn't do it for me.
Well, the alternative to watching stuff on the telly is setting Vartafing with matches. Did you not? Well, you're not allowed to play with matches as a boy.
No, I did. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
5446 was Toots' prison number, Ian. You know Toots and the Maytals. Yeah.
Oh right. What was he inside for? Drugs, was it?
He was in prison,
black.
like the Richmond Farm prison on a marijuana possession.
Surprise, surprise.
That's what you get for. Well, never mind.
That's what you get. Drugs. That's what you get for dabbling in drugs.
You go and be a Toots somewhere else. Is that what you were going to say, Hobbit?
I was just going to say they arrested him for being black, which is, it's not his fault he was born black.
Was treated unfairly by the system.
Further off now. Flipper and Gentle Ben were the best.
It was still Spooks is the umbrage of ghosts.
Gentle Ben had Ron Howard's weird brother in it. You know Ron Howard's weird brother. Like he was in a prison cell with Sylvester Stallone in Tango and Cash.
Who is Ron Howard?
Ron Howard was.
I've heard the name before.
He was in Happy Days. He was the ginger one in Happy Days.
Oh yeah, Ralph Malph.
No, he weren't Ralph. He was another one, wasn't he?
I thought Ralph Malph was the ginger one.
He were. Yeah, there was two gingers, weren't there?
And Richie directed Gremlins, wasn't it?
That's
turned into.
No, that Gremlins was Joe Dante.
I thought it was the guy.
Joe Dante.
I thought it was
directed.
Richie from.
Joe Dante directed.
Right. Anyway. What happened to the ghost stuff? Where were we on
no,
that?
you lot decided to talk about whatever. The fuck
Spooky
you were
ghost
talking about.
stories.
I told you about the Ghost Club,
Richie
and I told you
Richie
about
Cunningham. He was Richie Cunningham in Happy Days.
Cunningham, yeah. And isn't Jodie dead now? I think she died, didn't she? She ended up living in a trailer.
Is she?
The sister. She's dead now. Yeah, but so all that fame, and you end up with nothing.
You know, Ron Howard directed Splash.
Tom Hanks.
No, he directed Splash.
Yeah, with the one with Tom Hanks, the mermaid thing.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, with Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
You should remember Daryl Hannah, not Tom Hanks.
Yeah, strategically placed long hair, wasn't it? When she got out of the water, as I remember, couldn't have it. It was a children's film, so you couldn't get. Really, you should have had a full frontal, tits, bum, fanny, the lot, but you didn't, do you? Because the camera angle. So it's pretty. Just have to get a blowjob off a minute, because I don't know where you would.
Yeah, well,
that's or a hand job, because you couldn't
put your pee
where
in
do you
a
put
mermaid. Is this what we really need to be talking about? Where do you put your pee into a mermaid?
Because they where does the eggs come out though? Don't they? Fish eggs come out of somewhere, but I think the hole is too small.
Don't some fish have don't have some fish have the eggs come out of their mouth or something?
Yeah.
Tomorrow's People. I never watched that. Did you watch that, Ian?
I remember it. It was some kind of. I was it's vaguely there. I remember the program. I was a bit young, really, to take it in. I remember that it was some kind of science fiction thing with people like dematerializing and shit. I think, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was that Children of the Stones.
The adventure game. Do you remember that?
I remember that. It was shit, though, wasn't it? With John Craven and those kind of people.
Was John Craven on?
I remember Children of the
Pop-Off. It was Miss Pop-Off from Rent-A-Ghost, weren't it? Was always on it.
Neil's mother from Coronation Street.
Yeah.
No, there was one called Children of the Stones. I don't remember that one. That was quite good. That would shit you up.
Yeah. Do you remember they used to shit kids up? Like, kids were treated.
I know, there was good programs, actually. It was, it's a sort of 70s and 70s and then early to mid 80s kids TV was quite good.
Yeah. What was it? The Box of Delights. Do you remember that? They used to be on at Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that Christmas thing.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah.
Day of the Triffids. Yeah, the Day of the Triffids. You ever seen the Hammer film Day of the Triffids when he leads them off the edge of a cliff with their
No, I've not seen it, but I can imagine what it's like.
It's a controversial opinion that Gail's mum is fitter than Gail.
Gail's no looker, is he?
Yeah.
I suppose Gail's mum in her day. I can't remember. Gail's mum in her day probably was, but she's an old hack now.
I just remember Miss Pop-Off. She was Miss Pop-Off in Rent-A-Ghost, weren't she? She used to sneeze.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was some good programs and good dramas as well at that time. Grange Hill was good at that time as well. It went all PC.
Do you remember The Gift? That was a book we read at school. That was about some kid who's been stalked by some serial killer with psychic powers.
And Stig of the Dump, where he finds a caveman living in the dump, or prefer Stig has a dump, which is.
I never knew there was a series of that. I really like reading the books.
Oh, the Elephant. I vaguely remember that one, actually. Do you remember that one, Ian? I think it was a sitcom, wasn't it?
I remember Up the Elephant, with Jim Davison. Up the Elephant Around the Castle, with Jim Davison plays a cheeky cockney.
Did they have a bit in the TV series where his friend, I can't remember the name of the boy in it, it's like, it's too smoky in your cave, so I've got a bunch of tins here, let's make a chimney. And his idea to make a chimney from a bunch of tins didn't work, and smoke just leaked out of all the gaps.
And they died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Well, Stig got the idea from it, and he actually makes a chimney out of mud or something.
I watched the remake of Day of the Triffids, and that wasn't entirely horrible, to be honest.
And also he made Stig a window in jam jars on top of each other.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. No. I
can't remember what was the conclusion to that story though.
I think they were just gonna like use the dump and landfill it in, and Stig got buried under rubbish, and
He died.
Is that how they finished it? Fucking hell! Because wasn't he an actual caveman?
Well, it was.
Weren't he?
Yeah, it was. Like I don't know if he even spoke or not. I think he just like, I'm going to name you Stig because that sounds like a suitably caveman name.
You ever watched Bernard's Watch? He had a watch that could stop time.
I'd like to see more of the, was it Mr. Ben, where he goes to see his dealer and then dresses up in a costume and goes on fantastical trips.
Puts a costume on and drops an acid.
Yeah, that was.
That was a good show, that was.
Just remember him becoming a knight. He put a suit of armour on and then went into the cubicle and came out into medieval times.
That'd make it. You could probably make a half decent comedy film out of that, couldn't you?
Or you could just make a sort of fantasy adventure film from it.
Yeah. Because I
wouldn't have taken him directed.
You could do it one or two ways. It'd be either like funny fish out of water thing, or just like absolute Chad like Mr. Ben was, and just fucking just run where Mr. Ben's just a big Chad and he just wins the day every time, doesn't he? He's like, yeah, fuck you lot.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah, there was some good stuff before the internet, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But to be fair, there's some good stuff after the internet as well. It's not as if society went downhill immediately.
Thing is, there's always better stuff on the internet. You watch TV and you think, well, this is shit. I'm sure I can find something on the internet. So you do that. Whereas in those days, you had no choice. It was watch that or do fuck all. So
well, kids now
Tim Berners-Lee made the World Wide Web. He wasn't like, oh, this is great. There's going to be some vacuous bints go on the TikTok website dancing to stupid music. I'm so glad I've given this technology to the world.
But that's these as well. It's not a new thing.
Well,
right, but we should be back any second. There we go. We're back.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I'm gonna have to uninstall and reinstall OBS.
Yeah, something's funny is going on. But no, the internet was actually
both Streamlabs OBS and OBS are both crashing. So I'm gonna have to understand. Oh, the Queen's Nose. That was about a coin, but I don't really remember the plot of it.
No, as I was saying, the internet, though, people don't know that it was actually around in the 60s, and but no one was interested. And then in the 90s, someone put porn on it, and then so that was that. Everyone.
Well, that's what you know. DVD was fucking down and out. It was never going to happen, was it? Until the porn companies got hold of it.
Because they did have laser discs, didn't they? Which was like big silver 12-inch type things.
Yeah, what was the quality like?
I got to find. What
laser discs? Supposed to be good, I suppose, but you didn't get many films available on them. You couldn't record on them, so videos were, couldn't compete with videos, could they?
Yeah.
But yeah, those days are gone as well. We would go to the video shop. Eh?
What was the world's first internet porn site? I mean, I know sex.com's been around for a while.
Well, used to get.
It was probably something for pedos.
Used to get the old video nasties down the video shop before the namby pambies got involved, didn't you, Ian?
You did.
Pre-internet, there's the BBS systems, which were bulletin board systems. You could actually just dial up to the server hosting it, and you'd have like a text list which. Over 16 gigs. Wow, that's actually quite a lot for early 90s.
You could ask for a video under the counter as well, and they give you a blue movie.
A bluey.
So you could,
a bluey.
Yeah, a bluey. Or a video nasty.
Yeah.
Or a snuff film.
E.T. Nasty. I've still never seen that film. I always wanted to see that. I saw the video box plenty of times, but I always picked something else. But yeah, I always wanted to watch that film.
We covered snuff films. That would be an idea, wouldn't it?
Oh,
because apparently
Laserdisc.
There's rumours they exist.
400 lines, which is roughly SVHS.
Well, that's not bad. But yeah, they never caught on though. So.
Yeah, I think
Laserdisc,
it was a Yank thing,
Super
wasn't it?
VHS.
I think it caught on a bit in the Yanks
and you
because
had
they were
Beta.
always talking about them in The Sopranos, weren't they?
You had Betamax as well. Nothing could compete with VHS.
I think VHS again was another format that the porn companies used, wasn't it? I think you'll find the history of the evolution of TV was all driven by the porn.
I'm
industry.
told that
based
one
around
of the things that really sold the VHS's technology for people must have is that 500,000 blank VHS tapes were just given to porn companies. And because of that, because they were just given that you didn't have to buy it, they the porn companies put their smart videos on it, and then people's like, well, there's way more selection here than on Betamax, so that's why they won the format war.
It's interesting. Alphabet Cat has said Driller Killer. Do you remember that one?
Oh,
I've heard of Driller
I
Killer. Never seen it.
I haven't watched the film. I watched the start quite a few years ago, and it was. I was just dying.
It's not explicit. It's
dying
also
inside all the shit he had to do to get his fucking drill up and running. When all you have to do now is slap a battery in the bottom of it.
Yeah. I had a copy. I remember I bought a copy, and yeah, it's all right. It's not. I think Evil Dead was supposed to be a video nasty, wasn't it? As well in the day, I think that was on that band or something. I'm not sure, but these films.
It's a common misconception.
Oh yeah, that bit.
It's a common misconception that Clockwork Orange was banned. It wasn't. It was Kubrick refused.
The director banned it.
Yeah, Kubrick refused to have it released with the cuts that the BBFC wanted.
Because I saw it in Australia in, I think it was 1995. I saw it in the cinema in Australia, and it's still banned here. People go on about that film. To be honest, it doesn't do it. It's not all that. I don't see what all the fuss is about anyway. It's violent.
It's an interesting sci-fi movie, and I do like the look of his stuff. But
as
far as
I like
shock value, then
micro cassette they use in it. The micro cassette was some sort of tape from a dictation machine. It wasn't suitable for playing music, but I like the idea that in the future people are going to be using miniaturized cassette tapes for music, which is kind of cool.
The Exorcist was banned. Yeah, I went to see The Exorcist at a midnight show with an ex-girlfriend, and she fell asleep. So that's how scary The Exorcist is. I think The Exorcist was banned more for its themes than its actual content, wasn't it?
Won an Oscar though, didn't it? So it was quite a mainstream movie at the time, and I think maybe on video, but it was maybe restricted. But I was surprised that considering it was such a big film at the time, it was quite mainstream.
Well, it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't actually that gory, is it? It just shreds your nerves. Well, it's just, doesn't it? Really,
just an unpleasant film, really, isn't it? It's just so. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I saw The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist at the cinema in like mid-90s. It had another theatrical run, didn't it? That's when I saw The Exorcist.
Yeah, you could always catch it somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah, mid to late 90s, I think, was when I saw it.
No, my friend used to get violent films, and I remember we watched that. There was one called Necromantic I saw as well, about shagging dead bodies. There was that too. Yeah, so... various films.
Like Alphabet Cat says, I never thought it was that good, but the art design is interesting. Yeah, it's like the content's slightly interesting. He doesn't really get his he kind of gets his comeuppance, but doesn't in the end, doesn't he?
I think the fact that he banned it and pulled it and whatever made it more interesting to people. Maybe it would be, if it wasn't for that, maybe it would be more forgotten and wouldn't get the attention that it does.
I don't think so, purely because of Kubrick's. Kubrick's held in high regard, isn't he? So I don't think it would be that. Craig Wilson says, I just watched Pugwash on YouTube. Masturbates is true.
No, it's not. It's Master Mate. I think there's one section, there's one part of it where he does say Master Mate, and it sounds a bit like Masturbate because of his funny voice, but I'm sure that's not on purpose.
Oh, and Straw Dogs, that is the most boring film I've ever watched in my life. Does something actually happen? Because I gave up about 3/4 in because fuck all happened in it.
A bit like a Richard Curtis film.
Yeah. Are you saying
Fuck all
Is he the guy that shoved a gerbil up his bum?
No, that's Richard
Oh,
Gere.
that's Richard Gere.
Allegedly.
Is he gay?
Richard Curtis is. And
No,
Richard Curtis
Richard
wrote
Gere's
Blackadder,
just
but
an appalling actor.
Richard Curtis wrote Blackadder and The Young Ones, which were good. Then after that, he just started churning out this utter rubbish on, which ones was it? Hugh Grant films, wasn't it?
Blackadder was lucky to get a second series.
Rom-coms.
I'd never realised until I saw I, Claudius that the title sequence of Blackadder is a piss take of I, Claudius.
Which series of Blackadder?
The first one.
Oh.
Because a lot of the actors from I, Claudius also were in Blackadder.
Oh, okay. I never watched series 1.
Brian Blessed.
I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, yeah.
In I, Claudius.
Yeah, he's Emperor Augustus.
To cook.
Yeah, he's in it too. Derek Jacobi.
More stuff. Like, everything's better with Brian Blessed in it.
Peter Cook wasn't in I, Claudius.
I like that episode of Room 101 where there's that Channel 5 news bin. And
Oinkwinson knows what he's talking about. The Blackadder is crap. The Blackadder is...
No, I thought it was good and it was different. Series 2 was good, but I thought Series 1 was also good. He was a different character.
Blackadder is good despite Rowan Atkinson and the other one in it. The bloke from Time Team. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the fact, because you've got Queenie and Rick Mail, Lord Flashheart, and you had Brian Blessed in it. So it was good in spite of the main cast.
Yeah, I find the second series was good, but the third and the fourth series are very similar to the second series. It's like they thought, well, the second series people liked, so what we'll do is basically just rewrite it in a different era.
Yeah, because he was very similar. Lord Percy's character was very similar in Blackadder Goes Forth, wasn't it?
Yeah. The third and fourth series are boring wank. I didn't bother with them.
Just very similar, and they sort of very similar to the second, aren't they? That's why I like the first, because it is different.
Yeah,
but I do like
Blackadder 2 is the I, Claudius, the snake crawling across.
Really? I thought that was the first series, because it was just after I, Claudius.
No.
I thought I, Claudius... I'd never seen I, Claudius. It sounds like as more of a Roman thing.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Brian Blessed does the most convincing stage death I've ever seen. Yeah, he's Emperor Claudius. Although I'm not sure if he's the Emperor yet.
Blackadder 2 is in Elizabethan times, many centuries later than I, Claudius, isn't it?
I think they were just...
Blackadder 1 is medieval.
That's why I'm thinking it's the title sequence at first. But either way, it's...
To be fair, I did like...
it makes sense because it's an adder.
The good thing about Blackadder 3 was Mrs. Miggins was a funny character. When the French guy says he hasn't even... When she says that French guy's off his food, she says he hasn't even touched his horse's willy. That just cracked me up, that line.
The funny thing about that is... eating the umbles was something that British used to do. I mean, even what's his name, Carissa Dixon Wright has eaten penis.
Oh dear.
Bull testicle.
I'll take it we're not going back to. Take it we're not going back to ghosts.
Periwinkles. Well, the ghosts are a fleeting subject, as ephemeral as my attention span. Yeah. See? That was topical. Yeah.
We needed a more structured...
The Fowl of Pond Square, which does almost sound like it could be a Blackadder plot. Let's get this out of the way, and then we'll go back.
I have heard of this one. Go on, do it.
The ghost maker in this tale is no less a philosopher than the great Francis Bacon. Once Lord Chancellor of England, in 1626, though, he was 65 years old. He'd been convicted of bribery, sentenced to the Tower of London, and fined £40,000. Fuck me, that was a lot back then. Although later pardoned, Bacon was forbidden to hold public office again. Thus freed from the struggle for worldly powers, he turned his mind to the mysteries of the universe and to the methods by which a man might solve them. He was riding through the streets of Highgate one snowy March day in 1626 when a universal mystery occurred to him. Why was grass that lay under snow all winter still green and fresh when his carriage wheels exposed it to the air? Did the snow somehow act as a preservative? Bacon instantly stopped his carriage at Pond Square and ordered a coachman to buy a chicken from a farm nearby. Next, he had the coachman kill the bird, pluck off most of its feathers and clean out the abdominal cavity. Then, to the amazement of the small crowd pressing around him, Bacon stooped down and began stuffing the bird with snow. This done, he put it in a sack and filled the sack with more snow. While he was treating the chicken in this unnatural way, a fit of shivering seized him and he collapsed on the snow. He was taken to the home of his friend Lord Arundel and died there within a few days. What happened to Lord Bacon after he died, nobody knows, but the chicken bound, it seems, to the environs of Pond Square by the sudden outrage that befell it, has frequently been seen there since its death. Stripped of its feathers and shivering, invariably half runs and half flaps, always in circles. It was a big whitish bird, according to Mrs. Goodjohn Greenhill, who resided at Pond Square during World War II and often saw the chicken on moonlit nights. Aircraftman Terence Long was another witness, also during the war. He was crossing the square one night when he heard the sound of hooves and carriage wheels. He looked around and saw nothing except a shivering, half-naked chicken flapping pathetically in circles. An air raid precautions fire watcher came along and told aircraftman Long that the bird was a habitué of the square. A man tried to snare it a month or two earlier, he said, but it disappeared into a brick wall. One January 1969, a motorist who was delayed in Pond Square with car trouble noticed a large white bird near a wall. Seeing most of its feathers had been plucked, thinking a gang of youths might have abused the bird, he looked about him before going to rescue the poor creature. When he turned back, the bird was gone. A year later in February, a young man and young woman were saying goodnight to each other when a big white bird alighted noiselessly on the ground beside them. It ran twice in a circle, then vanished into the darkness.
Well, and what about the ghost?
I've heard that story before. Wasn't that like the inspiration for refrigeration, finding that you can preserve meat by keeping it cold? You don't just have to salt it.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I should imagine.
Oh, bizarre.
Where does the ghost come into it? Have I missed the ghost part?
The ghost was the bird.
Oh, right, I'm with you. Ah, right, okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
How about this one? This is a quick one. Late one night in 1681, a miller, James Graham of County Durham, England, was accosted by the hideous ghost of a young woman. She was drenched with blood and had 5 open wounds on her head. She told Graham that her name was Anne Walker and she had been murdered with a pickaxe by one Mark Sharp. Acting on instruction from a relative of hers, also named Walker, by whom she was pregnant. She made clear to Graham unless he gave this information to the local magistrate, she would continue to haunt him. Refusing to believe what he'd experienced, Graham did nothing, but after the apparition appeared, pleaded, threatened twice more, he went to the authorities with a grisly story. A pit identified by the ghost was searched and Anne Walker's body was found. Sharp and Walker were arrested, tried, found guilty and hanged. Anne's spirit, thus avenged, did not appear again.
Yeah. It's not bad, is it?
Where's Dom? Damien said, "Where's Dom?" I think he's passed out.
Dom is, he's passed out in a drunken stupor.
Yeah.
Should we tell you about the world's dirtiest man?
Do you want to do the world's dirtiest man?
He's passed away recently.
Let's go through the world's dirtiest man. Let's just quickly go through that. If you put the article up, let's see what we got.
Okay.
So, sad news to report that the dirtiest man in the world dies in Iran, aged 94, a few months after his first wash.
You dirty old man.
Or as Jeremy Clarkson would say, he was the dirtiest man in the world. Anyway, an Iranian hermit nicknamed the world's dirtiest man, for not taking a shower for more than half a century, has died at the healthy old age of 94. State media has reported. Well,
what
he looks
do you reckon
all right.
he smells like?
Smells like the world's dirtiest man, I would think.
Do you reckon it's like cow dung? Do you reckon cow dung?
Yeah. Urna News Agency reported that Amu Haji, an endearing nickname for an elderly person, died on Sunday in the village of Deja in the southern province of Fars. Haji, covered in soot and living in a cinder block shack, was reported by local media not to have bathed with soap and water for more than 60 years. Villagers said he had experienced emotional setbacks in his youth that led him to refuse to wash. So, in 2014, the Tehran Times reported that Haji would eat roadkill, smoke a pipe full of animal excrement, and believed that cleanliness would make him ill. So, photos showed him smoking multiple cigarettes at once. A few months ago, villagers persuaded him to wash for the first time, Urna reported.
And now he's
after
dead.
Haji's
I hope they're happy.
could go, the official record could go to an Indian man who has also not bathed for much of his life. In 2009, the Hindustan Times reported that Kailash Singh from the village outside the holy city of Varanasi had not washed for more than 30 years in an attempt to help end all the problems confronting the nation. Yeah, that'll do the trick. Yeah.
They keep saying that he died because he had a wash, but he's 94 years old.
Yeah, and smoked animal dung. So yeah, that may have come into it, if you ask me. But anyway, he would reject water in favour of what he called a fire bath. Every evening, villagers would gather. Kalu lights a bonfire, smokes marijuana, and stands on one leg, praying to the Lord Shiva, the paper said. Singh was reported to have said, "It's just like using water to take a bath. Fire bath helps kill all the germs and infections in the body." So there you go. If you want to live till you're 94, be a dirty bastard and smoke animal dung. So yeah, that's the news item. Yeah, what has happened to Dom? Anyway, that's interesting. That's a mystery, isn't it?
Mystery is freezer full of dead pigeons is found dumped in an alley. Do you know what? I can actually probably answer this one. I remember at a place I used to work at years ago. One of the guys in there used to buy air rifle magazines, and he actually so used to leave them there. And we used to read them. Those people in those air rifle magazines are very, very ill people. What they do is they kill pigeons, they freeze them, and then they use them as bait for other pigeons. So they put the frozen pigeon out. Looks like a regular pigeon. Other pigeons, other pigeons fly down. So I should imagine this is probably what it is.
B. Have you tasted pigeon though as a delicacy?
No, I haven't. I bet Hobbit has. Have you, Hobbit?
No, I've eaten quail, which is about the same size.
That's a bit different though, is it? Pigeon's more of a... No, I had it in Poland.
What the fuck?
It's all right. It's not much to eat though.
It's a bit boring, isn't it? It's not a bit non-tasty, to be honest.
Oculus found a builds VR headset that kills the wearer if they die in game.
No, it is more of a delicacy in some countries like Poland, but I don't know why. But yeah, I had it in Poland, and it was sort of, nothing much really, nothing great. But
so Palmer Luckey, who developed the original Oculus Rift headset before the firm was acquired by Facebook, has developed a new headset that literally terminates the wearer if they die in game. The device is equipped with a set of explosive charges which detonate when the screen flashes red at a particular frequency, essentially destroying the wearer's brain and killing them instantly. The idea plays homage to a similar device in the Sword Art online manga series.
Peculiar.
What a weirdo.
Plenty of them about these days.
Ghostwatch had its Halloween. Ghostwatch had its 30th anniversary.
They haven't put it on TV since. It's not been shown since, has it? I've seen it.
I think we could. I've got it on my hard drive, so we could watch it if you want. I've
I
got
think
that.
you'll find it on YouTube. I have seen it. I've seen it, but I saw it afterwards on the internet somewhere. It's all right, but
yeah,
it's not
bad.
I think it's just because some people, I don't know, some people are stupid, aren't they? One person did actually kill themselves, apparently, but that person had mental problems. Yeah, they had
what's the other one?
Is
Is it Alternative 3 or something? You ever seen that one? That's the one that's a little.
No,
bit
what is it?
older.
A similar Ghost Watch type thing?
No, it's a sci-fi themed thing. So it's about people moving to another planet.
What is it, like a documentary thing you're supposed to believe?
It goes for the
Ghost Watch.
The same sort of thing. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's Ghost Watch was based on the Enfield case as well. You can see similarities, but it was odd that if people did think it was real, I'm sure they didn't. And if people did, then it was people who were going to. One person did kill themselves, didn't they? Because of it. Person would have killed themselves anyway, I think.
Have you seen people in Wales who have asked people to stop leaving socks on Dobby's grave? You remember Dobby from Harry Potter, the house elf that dies?
Oh, I remember Dobby from Peep Show, but not from Harry Potter. I didn't watch Harry Potter. My parents weren't rich enough, so I wasn't a Harry Potter kid.
Yeah, so what it was Dobby died, and his grave is Pembrokeshire's Freshwater West. Do you know that, Ian?
I didn't know. I know nothing of Harry Potter, and I'm glad as well.
So yeah, after a consultation with the public, National Trust, is it Cymru? How'd you say Wales in Welsh? Cymru. Now, National Trust Cymru say Dobby's grave can stay on Pembrokeshire's Freshwater West, but they're asking visitors to leave no trace after paint chips and socks have been damaging the natural environment there.
Isn't Harry Potter cancelled now because J.K. Rowling said men with dicks aren't women?
Well, not according to Warner Brothers, because they want to pay her a dirty great amount of money to do another Harry Potter series.
Yeah, but she says men with dicks aren't women, so you can't say that anymore. She says it, innit?
She said it.
And men with dicks are women, so.
Oh, have you seen this priceless painting found to have been hanging upside down for 75 years?
I haven't, no. What is it? Let's have a look.
Have a look, it's on the screen now.
Which one is it? The square thing?
Yeah, the blunder which remained undiscovered till very recently may never be rectified due to the painting's fragile state.
Maybe the oil protesters are throwing shit at paintings, aren't they? Yeah. I could do that.
Well, they're throwing
shit at
paintings, aren't they?
They just poured diarrhea over Captain Tom.
So she realised the lines at the bottom were thicker than those at the top, whereas the artist would have intended it to be the opposite way round. The thickening of the grid should be at the top, like a dark sky, she said. Once I pointed out to the other curators, we realised they don't know, they're just guessing, basically. It's not. He hasn't even painted it. It's just like.
But it could be sideways for all we know. It could be, Yeah.
Have you seen that? What's it? Oh, who's the actor who played the Goblin in Willem Dafoe? Looks like Willem Dafoe was an 18th century vampire. Scientists recreated. Go on then.
I've not seen Harry Potter. I haven't seen it at all. So I don't ask me about Potter. Also, worst thing is that in Hollywood you had the Jaws Hollywood Park. You had the Jaws theme ride, didn't you? Where you'd go on a boat type thing, and then Jaws and shit like that, which looked quite good. They got rid of that to make way for the Harry Potter theme park.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's not the Jaws thing, isn't it? It's been replaced by Harry Potter.
Have you seen scientists have recreated the face of a real 18th century vampire? It looks like Willem Dafoe, doesn't it?
Do they know he's a vampire?
There you go. This is the face of a man who 2 centuries ago was buried with his leg bones crossed to stop him rising from the dead. He was certainly no Count Dracula, and most likely had absolutely no interest in at all in drinking human blood. Well, you don't know that. You're just speculating. But this unfortunate individual certainly stoked a great deal of fear among local populace back in the 1700s. More than 200 years after his death, his remains were found buried in Griswold, Connecticut, with his femur bones arranged in a peculiar crisscross pattern. There was evidence, in fact, to suggest he'd been dug up and reburied.
And was there garlic in the coffin as well to stop him rising, and a stake through his heart?
No, they just crisscrossed his leg, apparently.
Because that's fictional. That was fictional vampires. That if you kill
far from being a
you need to
vampire,
kill a
however, this poor gentleman had actually been suffering from tuberculosis. So he probably coughed his fucking lungs up, coughed up a load of blood, and they thought he'd been drinking blood or something, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Killed him.
It sounds like, anyway.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You don't actually need, if you come across a werewolf, then just, you could hit it with a normal bullet, or you can even just hit the shit out of it with a baseball bat. You don't need to use a silver bullet. That's just something that was made up in the movies. Which photograph? Let's have a look and see.
This is creepy, apparently.
Have a look there, and is there a ghost in it? Let's see. We need full screen. Let's see. What, that thing in the middle?
Yeah.
The ghost,
Beverly
is
Edmondson Cropper. Is that Roy Cropper's missus? Her partner and her son peered beneath the floorboards during renovation work at their home in Lancashire recently, and the last thing they expected to find was a photograph left behind by the previous occupants of the house. When they looked closer, however, it was evident there was something off about it.
Sounds a bit like Hellraiser.
Yeah.
They kept the body under the floorboards. When it was good in the original films, not when it started throwing CDs at people. That's when it got crap.
Or when they have chicks being thingy.
Well, I've not seen the newer ones. There's been one. There wasn't one that long ago. There's a new one with
there's a new one. Apparently it's not that bad. The latest one, but he's a chick. Yeah.
These are good. These are good. So, it's bullshit what they tell you. They say no, drugs
Alice
are bad.
Cooper and Cher are among singers who have encountered a ghost.
Right.
Well,
I can't remember. Did Jimmy Page encounter a ghost at Boleskine House? I know that his housekeeper did. Not necessarily a ghost, but a demonic force.
The Chili Peppers. The Chili Peppers wrote "Blood Sugar Sex Magic" in a haunted house, didn't they?
Yeah, they were off their head on drugs, though, weren't they? They're quite open about it.
Documentary about it, isn't there? Funky Monks, I think it is.
So I'd always leave what the rock stars say about their supernatural experiences.
Cher's been visited by the ghost of Sonny Bono, apparently.
Sonny Bono, more like.
Didn't he used to bash fuck out of her, or was that Tina Turner?
I think they did before he died skiing. Yeah. I don't know what's she up to these days. She had a load of plastic surgery, didn't she? But that's the last we heard of her.
She'll have a goatee beard, don't they?
But she was gonna. The last we heard of her was when, before the 2016 election, she said, "If Trump wins, I'm gonna leave the country," and Trump won, and she didn't leave the country. So
Eric Idle is apparently leaving Twitter because Elon Musk owns it now. Any day now, Eric Idle's leaving. He's leaving any day now. Oh, there's a bit.
Say no more.
Here we go. Enfield poltergeist photographer remains perplexed 45 years on. Graham Morris was the man who captured photographic evidence during the infamous poltergeist case.
Did he though? It was just someone jumping on a bed. Why didn't he get a video camera and film it properly? All those photos are
because they haven't been invented.
Still photos of someone jumping in the air. It's ridiculous.
Super 8. He really wanted a Super 8. It would have been a Super 8.
Yeah,
then,
and surely, when you look at the prize that was at stake, you could get one.
Well, he said he was convinced that something was happening, and then I stayed on the night after night, and all sorts of things happened. Chairs moved.
He's either lying or an idiot.
Drawers open, beds turned.
A door opened, did it? Oh, yeah.
Door opened, yeah.
Considering video and TV companies were there as well, who did have video cameras, That's the thing, isn't it? Didn't catch anything. All they could do was catch the girl whose birthday it is.
He said, unlike many, however, by the time he had left the house for the final time, he did not believe that these occurrences were the work of a ghost. Instead, he attributed them to something purely scientific, but admits that even today, 45 years on, he cannot explain what took place.
What scientific?
And there she is. There she is, your bird, Ian.
Yeah, that's stunner. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a bit peculiar, but when you think how easy it would have been at the time to get some decent footage, especially of the levitation, and they couldn't do that. All they've got is her talking in a stupid voice, and that's it. And still, they filmed her being possessed. Why couldn't they film her floating in the air rather than have still photos? Nah, but yes, you will never know. But yeah, it's an interesting case to look into, as all these things are. That's the thing, and then you decide.
Tales of a
That's
ghostly
just my
nurse
advice.
haunt England's Scunthorpe Hospital.
Why?
Don't know.
What is it? Is it a Barbara Windsor type nurse in sort of suspenders and that, or is it one of the modern, more lesbian type nurses in those sort of?
It could be a Hattie Jakes.
Yeah.
You don't want you don't want to be haunted by a Hattie Jakes, do you? What we got? Should we do some sidelines from the Fortean?
Yeah, what have you got? A British Bigfoot, if there's some brief stories, or Somali page, perhaps?
Somali police have classed the ant Tapinoma sesali as a drug after finding people were steaming them and getting high off the vapour produced. They cut off the ant's bottoms and then they put them in the pan with the lid on. After it's boiled for a while, people sit around and hang over it and they get high, said a police spokesperson. The ants produce formic acid, which in concentrated amounts can cause dizziness, nausea and vomiting.
What did they say?
That's it. They've just said that they've classed it as a drug because people are doing it as a drug. In Johnny Cash's hometown of Kingsland, Arkansas, someone has taken a pot shot at the silhouette of the man in black painted on the town's
Arkansas is not a real name. That's just made up.
Hitting it in what Mayor Luke Neal described as a very sensitive area. As a result, the musician appears to be urinating. Just the placement of where it was at. I mean, you could tell someone was trying to be funny, Neal said. The site has been drawing tourists, but the leak means the town is losing about 30,000 gallons of water per day at a cost of about $200. When they put some fucking some duct tape on it, it'll be fine.
They should use that Flex Seal stuff, which I hear so much about these days.
Yeah, I'm sure JML do a product that will sort that out.
Yeah, but good luck ever trying to get your dividends from them.
The mayor of Redland City in Brisbane, Australia, was found to be drunk after crashing her car into a tree on the way home from meeting the families of drink driving victims. Karen Williams admitted to drinking several glasses of wine and apologised to the victims' families.
Yeah. So don't drink and drive then, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think I lost connection.
After parking his Tesla car in a graveyard, Edgar Asornia filmed the dashboard display for his car's collision avoidance system, indicating there were people walking in various directions close to his vehicles. But when he panned the camera around to show the cemetery, no one was visible. After he posted the video on TikTok, many viewers conjectured the car had a sixth sense and could see ghosts, but others said it was more likely there was a malfunction causing the car to interpret graves.
This is the thing,
as moving people.
So, have you heard before UFO stories where the car stopped working, the electrics go, and the clock gets frozen at a certain, even mechanical systems, like a mechanical watch gets stopped.
It happens in the Bermuda Triangle, doesn't it, where their navigation systems go haywire.
So is there this common theme, I'm not sure if to call it a trope or not, where paranormal stuff just interferes with technology? Electromagnetic
forces, isn't it? So, yeah.
That's it?
How about this one then? After a 2-year-old was found wandering unsupervised in Carson City, Nevada, authorities discovered that her family was secretly living in the Nevada Children's Museum where her parents worked. They had set up home in a storeroom where they were also keeping an arsenal of weapons, including an AK-47 rifle, 3 handguns, a pistol, ammunition, knives, and a taser as well, as well as
normal.
a variety of drug-related items. The couple were fired and
What's wrong with that?
child neglect and weapons offences.
Nothing out of
Living in
the
a
ordinary
cupboard.
here.
They were guarding the museum, weren't they?
Yeah.
Were they getting paid to do this, or did they?
That's it.
No, they did it for free. They were just, volunteers.
Did it for their board and lodge. Yeah.
They did out of the kindness of their heart. They did it for that new payment, exposure.
Yeah.
I got paid a few quid for doing so. But
Yes.
yeah.
Deprived of discarded food during the lockdown, girls on North London canals took to savagely attacking the local wildlife and have kept up the behaviour even though things have begun to return to normal. They go amongst pigeons and pick off the stupidest ones and eat them alive. It's awful. I've seen them get hold of rats, said a local resident. They've been killing pigeons with a peck to the head and scooping rats out of the water and eating moorhen chicks on the nest. Fucking... Do you remember when they nicked that woman's chihuahua? Do you remember that story? I bet.
I heard a story similar to this. Apparently there was a prison somewhere and some immigrants were in there and they managed to lure a pigeon into their cell and boiled it alive in the cell kettle.
Yeah.
And it's like they get 3 meals a day, but they're just like, no, you know what? I fancy having
I need some more protein.
a shit-filled pigeon that I'm not going to even butcher.
How about electric vehicle charging points on the Isle of Wight surprised users by showing pornography on their screens? The chargers were meant to show the supplier's own website, but have been hacked to redirect visitors to a porn site, causing the council to apologise to anyone that might have found the inappropriate web content.
It's a feature, not a bug. It's I think that was done to either KFC or McDonald's.
Was it?
Yeah, those kiosk screens are just they're a web interface, so you just redirect the website to some pornography.
And I should imagine they're wireless, aren't they, as well?
Yeah. Oh, apparently the Bluetooth, the screens on them, they're showing the menus, they're Bluetooth controlled, and the password's saying really obvious, like 1234 or 40. So if you want to take control of those screens with your mobile phone, I'm not saying do that, but at the same time, I am saying you can do that.
Right, we
should give it a go.
Are we done, geezers?
Yeah, we've had enough gremlins in the work for one night, so I think so.
Just remember what you can't criticize rules you, and now we know it's ghosts.
Yeah.
Don't fuck about with the supernatural if you don't want to get a shit broadcast.
Yeah.
So are we saying Susan Wojcicki is actually undead? No, there's a YouTube theory.
Oh, Stephen Fry left Twitter a day ago.
Good.
What else?
Now, why can't he leave life?
Yeah. Right, anyway, night all.
Stay spooky.
I thought we're off the air.
Say goodnight, Hobbit.
I didn't say any of that stuff. That was just hacks.